What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. All right, everybody, we have finally arrived at the end of the road. The Acolyte episode 8, the finale, is dropping this Tuesday. And I don't know what else there is to say about the series. It's been an utter disaster for not only the franchise of Star Wars, but for everybody involved. Leslye Headland will probably never work in this town again. That woman is a 1,000% hack. I mean, good God almighty, man. I didn't even think the show would be as bad as it is. But now the question starts to come, okay, what's the fallout going to be? What's the aftermath going to be for this franchise? StarWarsNewsNet.com posted this up. The Acolyte's disappointing reception, how it affects Star Wars. I think it is actually an interesting conversation worth having, because you're talking about this is the latest of a long series of disasters that Star Wars has put out. And it doesn't seem like there's any light at the end of the tunnel, with the exception of Andor, perhaps. Maybe Andor might work out, might be okay. But for the most part, everybody's just like not looking forward to the Skeleton Crew, not looking forward to Mando and Grogu, not looking forward to whatever this Rey movie is, if any of that crap actually comes out. You know, Skeleton Crew, we know that that's dropping later on this year. But nevertheless, I thought this was a good article to kind of recap what's going on with Star Wars right now, the entire franchise. So here's where they get into that in this article. The disappointing reception to the Acolyte and the overall state of Star Wars. So he starts it off with this. Earlier this year, in the first edition of this newsletter-like weekly piece of 2024, I made 10 predictions for the year in Star Wars. One of them was directly targeting Leslye Headland's show. I thought this was going to be a big deal for the franchise. Well, it turned out to be a big deal. Not in the way he means, okay? It turned out to be a very big deal. It kind of cements the fact that Star Wars is just living on borrowed time at this point. It's already at the bottom of the ocean. Things aren't getting any better. As a matter of fact, things are getting much, much worse. And the brain children over there and the brain trust over there at Lucasfilm, these guys have no idea what they're doing. You know, Dave Filoni, Kathleen Kennedy, all of them. They're just completely lost, right? 1,000%. The introduction of a non-Skywalker saga time period, along with fresh new characters, would reinvigorate Lucasfilm and motivate them to pursue more risky projects like this one. See, the problem is, that would have been a great idea, because what we saw from the Acolyte, at least what they told us the Acolyte was going to be, was this idea of exploring the Sith. Hey, we're going to see everything from the lens of the bad guy. We're going to follow the bad guys on their journey. But that's not what they did at all. That would have been interesting. What they decided to do, what Leslye Headland has done for 7 episodes now, is just pretty much tear down the Jedi. That's what Leslye Headland wanted to do, and that's the problem with the Acolyte. You know, trying to paint them as imperfect heroes. Look, Leslye Headland, we already know that the Jedi are imperfect heroes. George Lucas covered all of this in the prequels. Leslye Headland broke no new ground. She explored no new ideas, and she didn't give us the promise of what this series should have been. It should have been a deep dive into Sith lore, rule of tool, all of that kind of stuff. That's what we should have gotten. I honestly, they couldn't have put a Jedi in this, and it would have been perfect. It's like, hey, no Jedi. We're not here talking about the Jedi. We're just here about the Sith. Everything is dealing with the Sith and what the Sith mentality is, what their philosophy of life is, why they use the Force the way they use it. That would have been very interesting. But see, again, all Leslye Headland cared about is, I want to tear down institutions, you know? And so because of that, in a nutshell, this entire show just turned out to be one big, gigantic nothing burger. And a bad one at that, all right? A badly written nothing burger. Everything seemed to indicate that this would be a big win for them. They had the ability to market a lightsaber-heavy show coming straight to your home, which they exploited. Look, I mean, even these guys over here at Star Wars News Net don't get it. This isn't about lightsabers. It isn't about jangling keys. What's the story? Who are the characters? That's what's important. All the lightsabers in the world won't save bad writing. You can jangle the keys all you want to. You can give us member berries. You can give us nostalgia. You can show fantastic lightsaber battles. None of that is a replacement for a well-told story. I don't need a lightsaber. Look, Andor did not have a single lightsaber in there. All right, except maybe for that one time with the ship, with the lightsabers coming out of that, right? The Fondor or the Hallcraft, right? Other than that, there's no lightsabers in this thing. And the story works. That's what they forgot, okay? They forgot to tell a story with all of their lightsaber-heavy nonsense, all right? It's absolutely ridiculous. They had a creator in Leslye Headland who had already had mild streaming success with Russian Doll. I know nothing about Russian Doll, but why? Just because she had success with Russian Doll. If y'all want to call it success again, I know people that say it's trash. Okay, whatever. Even if you want to give it to her and say it was successful, how does this prove that she knows how to make a Star Wars show? That's what I'm talking about. They got Charmin Obey-Chinoy. Oh, she's this great Academy Award-winning documentarian. Congratulations. Who gives a fuck? Can you tell a Star Wars story? Are you the right person to tell a story in this franchise? They don't seem to get this stuff. And this is the reason why Star Wars is falling apart. They putting the wrong people in charge of telling the stories. It's utterly ridiculous, man. And on top of that, rumors were that the company was quite confident in the series they had put together. Yeah, Kathleen Kennedy. The same people that had confidence in the sequel trilogy. The same people that had confidence in all of the nonsense that they did with Mando. Okay, they've completely destroyed that. They had confidence in Obi-Wan. They had confidence in Ahsoka. All of that stuff is trash. So yeah, I don't understand where this is coming from, man. That confidence should have meant absolutely nothing. These are not proofs of anything. Proof of that, albeit circumstantial, is the fact that they sent screeners to the media, including yours truly, of the first 4 episodes. They also held fan events to show the first 2 in theaters. Yeah, again, none of this stuff added up. None of this stuff added up to anything of quality. But the outrage over the smallest possible revisions of canon, something Star Wars has been doing for more than 40 years, was the final straw in the most unlikely place. The fan rampage Wikipedia had a falling out with its social media coordinator these past few days, a conflict that may have been brewing for a while, but which was finally sparked by fan outcries, which led to a death threat. Look, all of that stuff doesn't matter. The story sucks. It doesn't matter. All of this stuff they're talking about, all the fans, bashing it. If you want to talk about review bombing, if you want to talk about what they was doing with Wikipedia and all of the fallout that came out of all of that stuff, none of it matters. If the story was good, we wouldn't be having these conversations. The problem is that the story sucks. The story is a badly told story. I don't care who you are, all right? You can sit up here and try to make, it's all these fans and it's all the problems going on Wikipedia. That has nothing to do with it. Zero to do with the poorly told story. If this story worked, if this was a well-written story instead of trash, we would not be talking about this. We would be talking, hey man, wow, what a great story this was. What great acting, what great directing, what a great job. Oh my God, I'm reinvigorated. Star Wars is still alive. That's what people would be saying. But people are not saying that. It has nothing to do with this Wikipedia nonsense. It's just ridiculous, man. I'm telling you, man, these guys are just coping super hard, all right? The super hard cope of these poor Star Wars folks. I feel bad for them. Star Wars Newsnet will not be taking sides here. I'm simply bringing this up to illustrate the unintended pain that noble causes may have caused. We all lost for it. The website has issued a public statement to the matter, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't really care about that, all right? And yet all of that lives in a bubble. The truth is that not a whole lot of people are watching The Acolyte. Boom. That's the point right there. Nobody's watching this show. It doesn't matter what else is going on around it. Even if it is getting review bombed. Okay, fine. So what? Are people watching it? If the show was good, you can't review bomb a good show. You can come out and say, I hate this show. I can't stand this show. I can't stand the actors, the directors, the writers, blah, blah, blah. If it's a good show, and if everybody's rocking with it, you can't review bomb it. You can try, but everybody that isn't all a part of the culture war stuff, they're just going to, oh man, it was a great show. I enjoyed myself. It was phenomenal. Can't wait for season 2. That's what they would be saying, but they're not saying that about The Acolyte. All right. This past week was the second time Nielsen reported streaming numbers for the show. During the first 5 days of release, the first 2 episodes of The Acolyte had 488 million minutes viewed, according to the data analytics firm. The week after, when the 3rd episode debuted, the show had 370 million minutes watched. Yeah, remember, I thought that, okay, there would be a slight bump because Alan Ng of Film Trek came out and said, yo, 3rd episode is going to be hot garbage. That's the one that is going to make everybody quit Star Wars. And I thought, well, shoot, man, it's probably going to be like some, morbid curiosity. Nope, it actually dropped. All right. It was less minutes than the first 2 episodes. So nobody came back. All them people, they didn't come back. These numbers are usually hard to interpret. Looking at the raw data, we had a 24% drop from week 1 to week 2. We should keep in mind, however, that 2 episodes were dropped in the first week, while only 1 debuted in the second week. A more direct comparison can be made to Ahsoka, the previous Star Wars live-action show to come out on Disney+. And basically what they're saying is, look, Ahsoka also debuted with 2 episodes, all right, on a Tuesday night, same as The Acolyte, and it tallied 829 million minutes watched, all right? For over the first 5 days, all right? Over the same time frame, over the exact same time frame as The Acolyte. First 5 days of release, first 2 episodes, 488 million minutes viewed. So that's a huge fall off, all right? And what have we been talking about? Diminishing returns. Star Wars is not doing the work that it once was. They're not adding fans. People are more or less checking out. And with this Ahsoka show, look, they try to give it some reasons and stuff. They say, well, you know, of course, it's not a one-to-one comparison. Yeah, like Rosario Dawson had played the character before in Mando Season 2, all right? And all of that kind of stuff. So people knew who Ahsoka was. You know, she's a part of Rebels, all that kind of stuff, right? So they say, well, it's not really a fair comparison. No, it is. Actually, it is. Again, you're talking about Star Wars. You're talking about a huge franchise. And if everybody was rocking with this from the first week to the second week, you would have, if it was a good show, more people would have showed up for the second week. It wouldn't have just died, all right? But the decline tells you everything you need to know. And that's what these guys don't want to admit. They don't want to admit that the thing that they're wrapping their entire website around is falling and failing. Star Wars is dying, and it's not even a slow death. It seems like it's dying a very fast death at this point. Maybe it's already died, and now it's just slowly decaying out, and now we're just hitting rock bottom at this point. We have absolutely hit rock bottom with The Acolyte. Again, we're looking at an 80% Rotten Tomatoes score for the critics, but 14% right now. This has actually been coming down over here on the left, this 80%. It's been dropping. And this 14%, this has just been steady Eddie, okay? This thing has been steady for the last few weeks. All the people have been trying to do everything they can. Oh, let's give it some 5-star ratings. It's been a whole bunch of 5-star ratings coming in, but I think the damage is already done. This franchise is toast. And again, all these clowns, all they can say is like, hey, man, you know, let's look at the numbers this way and that way. There's no other way to look at this, okay? This thing is a giant failure of epic proportions. That's the state of Star Wars right now, Star Wars Newsnet. This is the state of the franchise. The franchise has hit rock bottom because they do not have the right storytellers telling the right stories. They're focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion instead of great creative storytelling. That's the problem with this. Leslye Headland is out here trying to push an agenda, whether it's feminism, whether it's LGBTQ, or whether it's I want to tear down an institution, instead of recognizing why Star Wars was great to begin with. Star Wars didn't get big and popular because it was coming out trying to tear down an institution or any of that nonsense. Star Wars became big and popular because it was mythology told, a modern mythology told for the current generation, at least back in the 70s. And that was like lessons that we all could rock with. Lessons that spoke to all of us at our deepest core of our humanity. That's what Star Wars is. Again, you could have did some of that with the Sith. You know, if you decided, say, hey, you know what, I'm not going to try to tear down an institution. I'm going to continue to explore the mythology of life and lessons in the world through the Sith sides. I mean, that would have been perfectly fine. I think that there is still a story to be told with that. But Leslye Headland is not the person that's going to tell that story. Absolutely not. But yeah, anyway, these guys can cry all they want to. It's not going to change the truth. All right. And the truth is, the Star Wars is absolutely dead on the vine, all right? Whether that is the reason Acolyte failed to entice the average viewer or if it was overall disinterest in the Star Wars franchise, I don't know. Both are probably correlated, and the fact that the franchise has such a divided fan base is not helping lure young people in. No, it's not. Young people are not interested in Star Wars. They're interested in things that are absolutely telling good stories, well-told stories. It's not the jangling keys and the lightsabers and all of the other. That's not what's going to bring the people in. What people are going to get interested in is well-told stories. And the sooner Lucasfilm figures that out, the better for the franchise. All right. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think about this situation. I've been saying this since the beginning of this entire show, that they are not telling a good story, and that's the only thing that matters. The storytelling is hot garbage. And until they figure that out, look, this is what we dealing with, all right? But y'all let me know what y'all think. Jump down in the comments. Give me your thoughts and opinions on that. Thanks for watching. See you next time.